I wasn't sure if we're doing the coming up again, but I was like, if I do it, then all Heather has to do is take off one half of one episode and splash them together, and I just saved her a bunch of time.
That felt really good too, like all of it.
So, yeah, your story was better. My story was better.
Yeah, the outro actually got what I wanted to say.
I still wasn't listening to what you were saying.
That's
I was just
fine.
concentrating on when I had to turn to camera and look worried.
I literally had to, because I forgot what the line was again. Like, I had it in my head, but I forgot. So I was like, oh, Kathleen, change implies, what's the line again? That I put something else on. Great.
Oh, I did see you look towards camera.
Yes.
So we're good.
We're good. Wow, look at how good we are. Can we get the chat on screen, Paul?
Very positive. Were we going to high five?
I was just doing like a
saw
happy crab
I saw in the
dance.
back of your eye, the corner of my eye, that I was like, oh, something is happening. Are we going to high five for this shit? Now we have to.
Yeah. Also, it's only 1:18. What is this madness?
We have all this time now.
Well, we should probably go offline just a little bit early because Lure MTG this week will be coming to us live from Las Vegas because James and Adam will be streaming from there. So we want to give them plenty of time to set that up, I think.
And they are in a different time zone, so they'll probably be confused as to what time they go on.
Right. They don't know how to use clocks.
Mm-hmm.
Clocks, Adam Savadan's only weakness. Actually, he's quite a punctual morning person, so I don't think that's true at all. But let's talk about some news. Also, okay, I prefer to spend more time talking about the stuff we didn't cover, but that NVIDIA story is wild.
Hi, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting, so from as we were talking about just before we went online, that from an engineering standpoint, I'm sure it's more complicated. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm sure there's some sort of, reason why it's different than it was before. But it's all about, trade-offs when you're doing something like this.
Yeah.
And as somebody mentioned, there's the predictive execution is something that they use a lot these days. CPUs use it too.
Oh yeah, Intel has. That's actually where
there's a whole bunch of
the
security
bugs,
issues.
because of that.
And so it's why that's a different font than the chat.
I was wondering why you changed the font, but I didn't mind it.
I did not.
I think it's actually just one step bigger on the font size.
Yeah,
It
anyway,
does look a lot bigger than it used to.
anyway,
Apparently, Vegas is PST, so clocks will not thwart Adam Savadan today.
Excellent, yeah.
really, I thought Vegas was Mountain Time. Anyway,
I just assumed because in Arizona's right, it's right below it.
There's no freaking Pacific anywhere near them.
Yeah, it's like the NVIDIA. And you know what? It doesn't matter.
Doesn't
I just
matter.
realized it doesn't matter. Let's move on.
Yeah.
but yeah, so the it's all the engineering stuff. It's all about trade-offs, and I guess we're at the point where the trade-off for
Latency versus smoothness.
What I thought was actually particularly interesting about that story is sort of in relation to another story that we didn't do, but about Google Stadia, which is of course a fairly big going concern these days. Not that it's actually fully available yet, but it's soon. And one of the things they've been talking about is there's a couple of exclusives that come out. The new Orcs Must Die is going to be Google Stadia exclusive, at least for a while.
Yeah.
I mean,
people were like,
originally because it was it's a Stadia exclusive, and everyone was Stadia. I have no idea. It's an exclusive, and everyone's like, what? And they're like, it's a timed exclusive, and they're like, much better.
yeah, that's why I didn't do it, because it's people are mad that this is timed exclusivity is not out of the ordinary in today's game environment.
I will say that, obviously there's been a lot of stuff about, the Epic Store exclusives and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
This is kind of a fundamentally different thing. So it's Google's actually funding the development of this.
Yes.
It's not just coming in at the end being like, hey, we'll guarantee you sales if you put it in our store.
Yeah.
Which is part of the reason why people have been objecting to what Epic's doing.
Yeah.
Plus, the Stadia platform is fundamentally different from the other. By developing something specifically for Stadia, it gives you a bunch of options in terms of cloud storage and rendering and all sorts of stuff, which is a little different than what you would be able to do in other places. But anyway, I found it interesting to compare and contrast NVIDIA versus because Stadia, of course, is the cloud gaming thing.
Which is going to have all sorts of latency issues.
Yeah, and I mean, how much it's going to be an issue, we still don't really know.
Yeah.
But it's definitely going to be an issue.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, as long as you're pretty close to a server and you're playing a game that maybe isn't like super important for, latency, you'll probably be fine. Versus NVIDIA, that it's like, okay, we have this new technology that shaves 6 milliseconds off our frame latency. Mm-hmm. It's like slightly different priorities, I guess.
Exactly.
Which is kind of interesting. Other stuff that we didn't talk about, or that we did talk about.
Yeah. I was going down a rabbit hole of deep thoughts about the Stadia story, and I was like, this seems like a move to make gaming worse. But at the same time, if Google is really working on like trying to make it so you don't have to buy any hardware, you can just play games anywhere, that's good not only for people in third world countries but also for the planet, and maybe like producing less plastic and waste and garbage and like resources that will like take millions of years to decay, just so I can have some fun for a few years. Maybe Google are actually still on the plan to do no evil, but it's like one of those things where they've become like Ozymandias and Watchmen kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then I thought, this is too much this time of day.
Yeah. I don't think that's something like the rendering and everything still has to be done, and a massive amount of infrastructure is required to actually send it.
And
so I don't know if it's going to be that more efficient in that respect.
Yeah, and we're still not at a point where because they're saying, you can play on any device you want. It's like, sure, but wireless devices still can have a lot more latency.
That was actually a thing. Just a couple of weeks ago, actually, Steam brought out their iOS app, so you can like Steam Play on iOS, and I was like, oh man, that's super neat. So like if you're just like if I'm just in my house, I could play like on my iPad instead of having to do a thing. And I tried it once, and then I was like, wait, this is dumb, because now I have like my iPad like balanced on my lap, and I have like a controller. What am I like? This doesn't really. Then of course nothing in my Steam library has touch controls. Because they're actual games.
So if you had like an Apple TV and you could install the Steam Link thing there, and it's like, well, that actually sounds an awful lot like a console.
Or I just have my I have my computer plugged into my TV, and I just play that way. It didn't. So I was like, this is a cool idea in theory, but I have yet to actually figure out a game that I want to play on it.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyhow, so
other games. Okay. There's a One Punch Man fighting game coming out, which is amazing.
Yeah, the gimmick of One Punch Man is that he can destroy all enemies in one punch.
Yes.
And I believe that still holds throughout the show and stuff, right?
Through the whole manga, that's the whole point. Because otherwise it would destroy the whole idea.
And the TV show. It is a great game. It is a great show. And the premise of the game is brilliant. Because what it is it's almost like one of these like tag fighters, like tag tournament or whatever, where you primarily play as another one of the heroes.
Yeah.
And as you're playing, there's like a timer for how long it takes until Saitama gets there.
Yeah, because he's kind of like, I think he's very lazy.
He's lazy, and he doesn't pay that close attention to things, and so he's often late. And so basically when he arrives, the match is over.
Yeah.
But instead of just being like he arrives and the match ends, they actually let you play as him. But he's invincible, and one hit kills no matter what you're fighting.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing.
Which is kind of fun, because it's like rather than him showing up and it's just a cinematic of him punching the dude and defeating it, it's like he just like shows up.
That's no fun.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, you have to interact. It has to be interactable in some way. So that's kind of a fun idea.
And like doing certain things when you're playing as other heroes, like doing combos and stuff, will hasten when Saitama's going to get there. So you have to at least survive that long against whoever you're fighting.
Clever.
Yeah.
It's a kind of a cool way of doing it.
Richard Garfield and Ken Jennings are making a trivia game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on Kickstarter, which
Such a good
It's a board
intersection.
game.
Yeah.
yeah. So it's a real paper game, and it sounds like a great a neat idea. Basically, the idea that they're trying to like take the sort of trivia. Everyone loves trivia, but there's certain pain points.
Like not knowing the answer to questions for half the game.
Yeah, where it's like one or two people do really well because they just have minds for trivia, and other people are like, yeah, this sucks, which is totally fair.
Yeah.
So
And the mechanic's really interesting. The game's called Half Truth, and the way that it works is that they give you a card with a question on it, and there's 6 answers, and 3 of them are right.
But you can like choose one of the 3 answers.
Yeah, so you get a 50-50 shot.
And I think there's sort of I think there's some sort of like betting mechanics and stuff.
Yeah, the idea, I guess, that it's supposed to be if you can figure out what all the other answers are, then you get more value, but you can still win just by knowing a thing. And so Richard Garfield in the article was saying how he sees it as kind of like a logic puzzle rather than just a trivia puzzle. Because you can base your idea on knowing one thing, and that might lead you to knowing, well, I know the answer to this one thing, and that kind of makes me think about the second or third answer as
you
well.
feel clever not because you just happen to recall a fact, but because you solved a puzzle, which I can tell you, as somebody who likes those kinds of games, is a way better feeling.
Yeah, and it is weird to have all of the answers in front of you when you're trying to figure that out, too. But yeah, neat idea.
It looks really cool.
So-
It's in Kickstarter.
It's on Kickstarter. It's already massively funded in like 3 hours. Although the Kickstarter is really more of like a pre-order kind of Kickstarter because obviously like Richard Garfield knows how to make a game. Like the fact that like the production aspect of it is not going to be a problem.
Yeah.
I believe it's supposed to be coming out in December. So, and yeah, as somebody in chat mentioned, I'm sure there's a pretty good chance it will show up on AFK at some point. Boop, 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 boop.
Steam is coming to China.
Yes.
And it will be will not be the Steam that we are. It will be a very curated experience because the Chinese government does not believe in just letting people read whatever they want to read or look at whatever they want to look at.
Yeah, and so Valve is like, well, we couldn't just allow like anybody to submit a game, so we're going to be curating it. And so there's this like dual aspect of one, Steam Global is still actually available in China, like the sort of normal version of Steam. And according to Valve, there's no plans to stop it being available. Of course, the Chinese government might stop it from being available.
Yeah.
But Valve doesn't have those plans. They're like, it'll be available everywhere.
Yeah. Valve's
Externalities not.
we can't
standing.
control for those.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then of course there's the other aspect where it's like Steam curating things. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe could I mean we don't want all the other stuff about the Chinese government, but could we have a little bit of curation maybe?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like, I feel like Steam does not want to curate or do any, like, they want to automate as much work as possible and just, like, collect the money from the store, essentially. Obviously, there's actually a lot of costs for, like, hosting and running it and stuff like that. But they don't really want to do content management on it. Mm-hmm. But with the exception of China, where so many billions of people live, right? Like, it's just too big of a market to ignore.
Yeah.
So it turns out money talks.
Yep.
I know we're talking about One Punch Man anymore, but apparently in the first season finale, his super attack is called consecutive normal punches.
Yeah. Consecutive normal punches.
That's really funny.
Yeah. One Punch Man is amazing.
Everybody wants to be in China. That's why they call it China.
Speaking of Steam, there's actually
I do not get that.
There's a game that has just recently come out on Steam called The Song of Saya.
Oh Jesus, yeah, Saya no Uta.
Yeah, and so this is a game that has been out in Japan for a while, and it's got some fairly objectionable content in it. And so people were like, "That's never going to come out in North America."
Well, guess what?
So what they decided to do is, and like it's got some content that would not be allowed even through the fairly laissez-faire Steam curation system.
Yeah, which is just like, whoa, that's like a literal donger.
Yeah,
Get that out of here, no.
So what they've done is the game in the equivalent in yen would cost about $20.
Yeah.
So what they've done is they've released it in the Steam store for about $15.
Yeah.
But they have taken out these various, I don't know how much.
The sex scenes. They removed the sex scenes.
They've taken out the objectionable content.
Yes.
At least according to
some
them.
of the objectionable content.
I guess the most egregious stuff they've taken out. But don't worry, you can get it back for like $5 off their store, which makes up the rest of the $20, I guess.
So that's kind of a novel pricing mechanic, and then you don't have to watch the gross sex, which is it's like the classic of, oh, I'm absolutely 18, but I look 14.
Anyway,
as an old who was exposed to many young people while I was at the King Gizzard concert, because I was definitely trending on the upper. Well, no, I wasn't the oldest person there, but I definitely most of the people there were in their late teens, early 20s. As far as I can tell, kids that young just want to do mushrooms at a King Gizzard show. Who wants that anyhow? There's a bunch of guys from Nanaimo who are like, woo, Nanaimo crew, here to get effed up.
Nanaimo crew.
I was like, you guys are going to have a bad time.
You could do that back in Nanaimo.
Yeah, you don't have to come to Vancouver to do drugs.
Yeah. But yeah, the whole Song of Saya thing is that this game has been around for a while, and now there's a situation, and it's kind of like that. I don't know what the content of the game is, other than the fact that when I was reading the Polygon article, they had a quote from the Kotaku article that said it's one of the most fucked up games you can play.
I've never played it. I'm curious now.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, it's like,
I think that's a bad idea.
It's supposed to be twisted and gory and whatever, but I'm like, it's not supposed to be the Joker. We live in a society, kind of twisted and gory. It's supposed to be really dark, but compellingly psychological and all these other things.
It's
and yet it has,
novel, right?
and yet it has all these other things added on to be but look at how really, that kind of. And so it's okay, so you have to be willing to wade through a lot of stuff that's going to probably turn your stomach, because that's why you're playing the game. You want it to turn your stomach. Mm-hmm. I guess that's the thing.
I wonder. All right, well,
not my jam.
Maybe I'll just read a detailed plot summary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody's done it.
Yeah. So also to avoid having arguments in chat, let's not talk about it anymore.
Yeah.
I'm just going to put that down right now. We're just not going to talk about it anymore.
Instead, let's talk about the weirdest video game series that continues to be quite successful, apparently.
Yeah.
Mario and Sonic at the Olympics.
Well, they keep making Olympics, so they may as well keep making Olympic Mario and Sonic games.
But it's always Mario
will never go away.
The series Mario and Sonic at the Olympics. It's why are Mario and Sonic at the Olympics? Clearly, Sonic has a way huge advantage over every other competitor at the Olympics.
Yeah.
And I guess if Mario is in the high jump, he would have a massive
Yeah.
That just seems not fair.
Yeah.
I guess Luigi would probably beat Mario in the high jump.
I think that's
and
more appropriate.
and Princess would just be all over the long jump. She just floats. It's
oh, Sonic can't swim. That's true.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But
so you don't have to. Not every person does everything at the Olympics.
Yeah. Robotnik swims, apparently. There's been lots of shots of him and Wario standing on the 1-2 podium with their shirts off.
Oh.
Mm.
Anyway.
Yeah. They have dusky nipples.
Mario and Sonic at the Olympics.
Wow.
In Tokyo 2020 has a mode where you can play a bunch of the events in 8-bit mode. Mm-hmm. As a tribute to the last time the Olympics was in Tokyo.
Yeah, 1964.
And so, which is great. I remember on original Nintendo or Apple II or whatever, the games the hurdles games and stuff where we just
track and field
push alternate pushing buttons or whatever, and then you would, as a kid, I remember playing those and never getting past the first hurdle, always just fall, not really understanding that you were how you jump or do anything.
In Epic's Winter Sports, where you would like figure skating is just moving the joystick back and forth, and then every so often clicking the button so you would do a spin. I hope this is a little more complicated.
What I like about it is it's like retro mode, but retro mode for Mario and retro mode for Sonic is different in the sense that Sonic, even like old versions of Sonic,
like Game Gear 8-bit,
was still a more advanced system than the oldest versions of Mario. And so they basically are like pixelated, but they're on two different pixel grids.
Which really sucks because I was like, the Mario they use is the original Super Mario Brothers Mario, and I'm like, you should have either used the Mario World Mario,
like the Mario that lines up with approximately the same level as the Sonic.
Or at least the Mario 3 Mario, which looks a little bit more like there's a little bit more art to that, but this is what they picked because it's retro. So yeah. Anyway, cool idea though. It's like it's 10 specific sports, and it's not a drop in, drop out thing. You are actually choosing that mode to play, and it's 10 sports
That's kind of fun.
to that. I thought it was a great idea.
It's a decathlon, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, that's exactly what is. The decathlon is 10 sports in a row. The decathlete.
I wish for the decathlon or whatever, it was just like you sign up for the decathlon and then you just like check off the 10 sports, like of all the sports of the Olympics, you get to choose what 10 sports you think you're going to do best at. Like they don't, it's not like 10 specific sports. It's just like it's like you either do one or like 5 or like a grab bag of 10.
I choose snowboarding and dressage.
Women do the heptathlon.
7, right?
7 heptathlon.
What are the 3 that women don't do?
I don't know. I'll watch the Olympics this summer and find out.
Weightlifting.
No, there's more like track and field stuff, right?
They're all track and field sports. They're all like it's like the 100 meter, the 110 meter hurdle, javelin. I think is part of that. There's a long jump, a high jump. Yeah,
it's all of those, running further.
The javelin while somebody else is doing the 100-meter sprint away from you.
Yeah,
because you have a javelin.
Yeah, I'm sure the ones they can't do involve a penis in some way. That we're not aware of at the competitive level.
Oh, apparently shooting is one of the sports too. Weird.
Yeah. That's the biathlon is the ski shooting in the Winter Olympics. That's in the Winter Olympics, the biathlon.
Apparently, the hard part of biathlon is the shooting, not the skiing. So much so, my roommate in university, his mother was a champion shooter, like a rifle shooter, and they're like, "Hey, are you interested in learning how to cross country ski?" And she's like, "I live in the Sunshine Coast. We don't have any mountains." And they're like, "Doesn't matter." And she's like, "No, I have a job and a family." They're like, "You could be an Olympic athlete."
It's true. Shadow the Hedgehog would be great at the shooting one.
He has a gun, I hear.
Because he has a gun.
Yes. I hear that because it's like the hard part is when you're, as the chat is pointing out, when you're biathleting, when you do all that skiing, you have to then stop briefly and shoot as fast as you can, but as accurate as you can, obviously to hit all the things. So then you can continue, and it's like trying to calm yourself down to the point where it's like, I have to hold steady, but I've been breathing real hard. I'm like, yeah, that is rough. It doesn't seem like it should be, but it is.
It's very difficult. Our last story that we decided not to talk about comes from the Department of Old Men, yells at Cloud. A-Rod, Alex Rodriguez, says that this will be the first generation of children that will not live longer than their parents because of video games and esports and foolish you. It's because of climate change.
Yeah, they're going to eat all those fucking Doritos.
Because they're so, I guess they're so slovenly being inside and playing video games all the time.
Yeah. This is the first generation.
This is despite the fact that he's a large investor in one of the bigger esports franchises.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't know what
his bread's buttered on, I guess. Jesus.
Yeah.
I don't. That's the thing, right? That becomes us yelling at olds. If we had done that story, it'd have been like, well, I mean, you're full of shit.
I mean, I basically read. In my explanation of the story was the entirety of the story.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's very. I think it's just so weird because it's like the champion esports teams. I mean, most esports teams now, not even ones that are making it to championship levels, are you have to eat right. You have to exercise. You have to gain stamina because you're going to be sitting there and your brain's going to be burning the entire time while you're trying to play this game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's become a lot more than just it's a bunch of kids sitting on the couch, yelling slurs in Fortnite. It's actually like an important thing.
Also, as we're learning, as time goes on, we are learning more about how various sports are really ruining the bodies of the athletes that are doing them. That make it, especially like football and this kind of stuff. Yeah. Or, various injuries that people have. Actually, speaking of football, I didn't mark this story down, but there's actually a great story about, I've forgotten the name of the football player. There's a great story about, there's a football player who only has one hand. He was born with only one hand, or born a birth defect. He only has one hand, but he's still he has become a pro football player, and of course, and so is in Madden as a football player with the appropriate. They have a model for him.
Sure.
That is appropriate. Unfortunately, they can't. The animations for them, they don't have like specific animations for each person.
Right.
And so there's this great video of his avatar in the game doing a one-handed catch with the hand he doesn't have.
Ah, weird. It's like, oh, you were describing my broken dreams.
He plays for the Seahawks, yes.
Yeah, I would much rather have my kid take up esports than take up American football.
Absolutely. Or cheerleading.
Yeah.
Or gymnastics.
Yeah.
Like, all of those things are actually really bad for your body.
I mean, I guess at the professional level, right? It's like, I don't mind if they want to do a little of that, like at an amateur.
I feel like you want to go out and like play like touch football.
Yeah.
Like, obviously fine, but I would never like.
Yeah, non-contact hockey, but yeah.
I mean, pretty much in order to be at the pro level in basically anything, you have to have like your entire life devoted to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Such as us being pro Twitch, YouTube content creators.
According to Chad, I'm wrong, so I hope my kids take up fucking parkour.
Apparently ballet is like very dangerous.
Sure. Man.
Why do anything?
Well, I mean, like
watching when I saw Black Swan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's all the like weird, all the like psychological horror aspect
of ballet. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, of the movie.
Yeah.
But just the not psychological horror aspect, just the like showing behind the scenes of ballet aspect is like woohoo. Anyway, let's welcome some subs.
Yes, please.
To the stream because we've got about 15 minutes left here, but let's welcome some subs and then we can talk about some other stuff. So, thank you all for helping us out and supporting the channel in all the many ways that you do. But in particular, I want to thank these people who subscribed during the stream, starting with Elf Owl Girl 46 for 21 months. That is multiple creature types.
And welcome back to Azure Shock, who's been here 20 months. Thank you very much.
And it's your friend and mine. Oh, it is your friend and mine. Whoa.
Nice.
Foxmore320. Hi, Foxmore. Thanks for subscribing for 68 months.
That was intended as a platitude.
Yeah.
But I meant that.
Yeah. God damn it.
Cyber Egg for 37 months. Thank you very much.
Chef Steven returns for the 55th month.
Aye has been here for 38 months.
Cadra 22 for 25 months.
Lord Wartornian for 17 months. Welcome back.
And that's it.
Nice.
Thank you.
Oh, the Patreon's doing real well. Thank you, Lurbot.
Oh, very nice.
Thank you, MTV CDM, for pulling that up.
And thank you all the people who are helping us out with
over
that.
Over 2,400 people this month who are currently helping us on Patreon. That's a big help.
Thank you.
And helping us out on the YouTube memberships, of course, and the Twitch subscriptions and follows and all that good stuff. Coming up, we have LRRMTG broadcasting live from not GP Vegas.
Magic Fest.
Magic
Las
Fest.
Vegas.
Magic Fest Vegas. James and Adam are going to be doing LRMTG. And then tonight we have a special bonus stream. Well, it is a special stream that instead of Tinker Tailor Solder Fry, we have stream of, sorry, what is the game called again?
It's called Heave Ho. And
Heave Ho.
This is a hashtag sponsored stream that we are doing for Devolver Digital and I forgot the name of the studio. Damn it, I forgot the name of the studio. But we will talk about it more at the time. It is a fun party game. It's kind of a bonus crossing the streams, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we might even use the crossing the streams setup for that. And tonight it will be Ian, Heather, myself, and Corey, I believe. We'll be all jamming on that for a couple of hours in lieu of Tinker Tailor, because not all of Ian's parts, I guess, were here. I'm not sure exactly what the story behind that is, but everything lined up just right, so I'm very happy to be doing this.
Mm-hmm.
It turns out making a replica of the guidance system for a shuttle is complicated.
Yeah, more complicated than you think, you know?
Yeah.
It turns out it takes more than 3 hours to put together.
Yeah, you need to spend a little bit of time.
I would have been a little disappointed if he was just like, "Yep, we just put it together, it's done."
I think it's funny that because it's all
Now
LEDs.
let's send things to the moon.
Well, we need a guidance computer for the moon base, I guess, is the idea, right?
Oh, right.
Makes sense.
Wait, we've been operating without a guide.
Yeah.
Well, that's
We
why it's
don't
an
we don't have much guidance.
That's why it's
fine.
an orbiting underground moon base.
Yeah, that's true. The underground wasn't intentional
Yeah.
originally.
Well, now we have a guidance computer, so.
The other thing, of course, if you tomorrow we've got the Commander. We're going to be playing on Friday Night Paper Fight. We're going to be playing with the new Commander decks, which you may.
Which were mentioned in today's
Yes,
Friday
which
nights.
I would say featured, but they were talked about in the Friday nights.
Well,
They're definitely alluded to very heavily.
not to pull the curtain away and destroy the magic, but it turns out you have to film the episode far in advance of it actually going online.
Yeah.
So we didn't actually have the Commander decks when we were making the episode. We were playing with the Commander decks. I know.
But
Illusion
we
shattered.
we will have the Commander decks tomorrow, and so I believe it'll be Ian and Corey and Graham and Alex are going to be playing some Commander.
Nice.
And yeah, all sorts of great stuff coming up. And also on Sunday, if you didn't know, if you weren't
Paying attention.
The second episode of Corpline is going to be coming out. We're not going to be. It's not going to be another YouTube premiere. It's just going to go out.
It'll just appear in your YouTube and podcast feeds.
And if that is a surprise for you, then you should check out the previous episode that came out last week. And I think that's all the stuff that is to hype up.
Sounds good.
Of course, we're going to be after
Vegas.
Magic Fest Vegas. Going to be going to PAX.
Yeah, a lot of us will be at PAX West.
Not
So
Paul.
all sorts of fancy stuff coming. Yeah, Alex and I are going to be here holding down the fort. So you may notice that the stream schedule is looks a little sparse. That's because most of the crew is gone.
The crew's a little sparse.
I'm going to try to. I've got some ideas for. I might do one or two extra fill-in streams there. So I'll put those on. Keep an eye on the schedule while that's happening. And we'll also, for any of the Loading Ready Run panels or Loading Ready Run associated panels that are streamed from PAX, we'll host those too.
Yeah, like the panelists, I believe, is getting streamed.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're in a streaming theater.
I have no idea if Late Night Dub Fight is or isn't.
I believe it is. I think
is?
there might be even in the same theater.
They're in the Raven.
I know where my panel is. I can't.
They have a brand new hotel this year, the Hyatt Regency, which is not the same as any of the other Hyatts that are in the downtown core. And
the Hyatt Regency.
It is a little further than the Hyatt, away from the convention hall, just like a half a block.
Oh, okay.
But it
What's the
is.
difference between the Hyatt and Hyatt Regency? About half a block.
It's It's Tabletop Central, apparently. All the tabletop stuff seems to be there. Wormwood's going to have their booth there, and like
nice.
Dice Throne's having their booth there. So I have some people I'm going to go talk to and say hi to and thank. But then the Raven Theater's at the top level.
Sarah Sernday says Late Night Dub Fight is indeed the Raven Theater. Thank you. I just didn't want to speak for a panel that I had not
Yeah, that makes sense.
committed to my own memory.
The MTG is happening there. It's 7 stories, the convention center at the Hyatt Regency that they've taken over. So there's a whole bunch of space to work with, and I'm really excited to see what it's going to be like.
I do enjoy the PAX continual, like, PAX, especially PAX West.
The annexation of...
Yeah, it's just like, we need more space. We need more space. We need more space.
They're eventually going to build that add-on to the WSCC in probably a couple more years, I guess. And then they'll take over all of that.
I remember going there, like, the very early years in PAX where it was, like, half the convention center, and then the other half was just, like, a dentist convention or something, who were just super confused as to what the hell was going on.
Now they don't get to be there anymore.
No.
Just a Magic Player says, just got here. How's it going? It's going great. We're about to go offline.
We are about to go offline because we have to switch over to LRMTG. So,
coming to you live from Magic Fest Las Vegas.
Yeah. At least I hope that they're live. Otherwise, something has gone horribly, horribly wrong.
But you will see them, I'm sure, by 2 o'clock.
Yes.
In 7 minutes.
All right. Talk to you guys all later.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.